Hello, and welcome back to the third installment and a riveting podcast episode, if I ever heard one. I am Coffee, as always, and
I am Cuddles. So why don't you grab a cup and join us, won't you?
I think I shall, although I don't have a beverage in front of me tonight. I'm kind of cheating and drinking water, but it happens every so often.
Wow.
I know it's in the title and everything. I don't have one. I apologize.
No. You see that mug right there?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you notice? It's sitting right there. It's all ready to go.
I had not noticed it.
Huh? Boy, oh boy.
I know. Well, I have what's called man vision or something.
Is that a thing though, man vision?
Allegedly it is. I personally don't believe in it. I don't think it's a thing. It's like man flu. I've heard of it. I've heard people say they have it, but I personally never experienced man flu. So I don't know.
Well, that would be what a man would say now, wouldn't it?
Oh, all right. Shots fired. Well, less than 2 minutes in, and she's bringing out the heavy artillery. All right, fine. Maybe that is something a man would say.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just your average everyday man on the street. Kind of, sort of. So what's the term for that? The everyman or something?
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
Well, here we are. It's 2024. We're 5 days in.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 fingers.
He used his fingers, ladies and gentlemen. So it's 5 days into the new year, and we want to thank everybody who has been listening to our first 2 episodes, whether it's through Spotify or the website or however you've been listening. We really do appreciate it.
Fountain is a good one. It's a podcasting app. Fountain is a little bit different. It works the same on the front end insofar as you can upload your podcast to it, or if your podcast is out on the World Wide Web somewhere, you can claim it as yours as long as you can prove it's yours. And they do that through the magic of the RSS feed and email verification and everything. So I'd heard about it like a year or two ago. I signed up for it and I promptly did nothing with it and I forgot about it. And then my friend Brian, who also has his own podcast, if I remember, I'll put that in the show notes. He mentioned to me, this is something called Podcast 2.0 because, 1.0 is never good enough. And 2.0 is never as good as 3.0, but that's what we have for now. The main differences lie in it's something that's called value for value. And if you're into crypto at all, you understand what is it? Lightning exchanges and lightning payments and all these things. There's a whole payment network that works on sats or satoshis, which is minuscule bits of Bitcoin. And what you can do is you can pay other podcasters for streaming. You can pay so many sats per hour or half hour, however you set it up. People can pay or kind of sponsor your show. We're not quite there yet, but that's where that comes in. So if you have a Bitcoin address somewhere, or I'm not even sure what forms of crypto they take, it's all explained on the website. But if you have that payment vehicle, then you can do the same thing where you can go and listen to podcasts and pay people for their time. And everyone's like, Bitcoin, what does that mean? That's all ones and zeros. Why does that matter to me? Because you can take that Bitcoin and you can turn it into cash. Dirty, stinky fiat money, but you can do that if you want to. But there's a whole society out there of websites and things that take Bitcoin, so you never have to deal with any middlemen. You don't have to work with the government at all. You don't have to do any of those things. So if that's what you're into, I highly recommend you check it out. So thank you to Fountain and the creator of Fountain, all the people over there where all our downloads or most of our downloads are coming from. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we hope you stick around.
Oh, you had me worried there. As soon as I heard crypto and Bitcoin, my brain sort of shut down. As much as I tried to understand crypto and Bitcoin, I think there's a part of my brain that just kind of goes, what? and then goes into homeostasis to protect me from it all. But you know what? That's not where we're going with this. It is a brand new year, and I hope everybody had a wonderful New Year's. I hope you had fun with your family and friends. Or you did what Craig and I did, just kind of hung out at home and tried to see, can you make it to midnight? Which I am proud to say I did make it to midnight.
It was touch and go there for a little while for both of us. I'd look over and your eyes would be getting heavy. And then you look over and look at me and my eyes would be getting heavy. And then we were up in time for like 5 minutes till or something, or maybe not even quite 5 minutes till. We watched the ball drop, even though it had dropped previously in New York already, but that's okay because we still rung in the new year. And I'm fine with that. I don't need the parties anymore. When I was younger, the New Year's Eve parties were great, but now you have to go out and deal with people on the roads and they don't know how to drive to begin with. And then you mix in alcohol to the equation and it's a whole mess. So to mirror what Anna said, I hope you had a great New Year's Eve and I wish you the very best new year ahead. We ended the year by going to see Straight No Chaser at the theater in Thousand Oaks. I can't remember the name of the theater. I think it's Bank of America or some kind of bank.
Fred Cavill Theater in Thousand Oaks. It's a really nice venue. We've seen Straight No Chaser there before. I'm sorry, I cut you off there.
No, it's fine.
Getting to it though is quite interesting. The first time we went to go see Straight No Chaser, we drove there in a pouring rainstorm, which people, when it rains, there are two kind of drivers. Those who completely don't care that it's raining and they drive like normal. And then there are the people who there's water on the road. What do I do? And they drive way slower than they're supposed to. And then there's people like us who we just want to get to our destination with no damage to the car. But we did make it. We got an excellent parking space. Now, again, this is the first time we went. We got an excellent parking space. We literally parked the car, got out of the car, and just walked right to the doors. So this time, in our GPS, do we use mine or do we use yours?
Yours is always, I'm sorry to any Apple fans out there, but your maps suck. Your directions suck because I can put my Android with Google Maps next to hers with that. I don't even know what Apple uses. Maybe it's Apple Maps. I don't know, but it's always different than what mine says. It's weird and it's convoluted. So rather than take us up the freeway like we did the first time, this took us down part of the Pacific Coast Highway, and then we hung a right into the mountains, which is not for the faint of heart whatsoever.
Especially at night. Now, cruising along the coast
as nice.
The sun is going down, that was a really nice drive. You got to see the waves. It was a very nice drive. And then they take you upwards into the hills and the sun is completely gone. There's hardly any lights and all you want to do is just get through it. And thankfully, my co-pilot here kept me nice and calm because the second he knew that he panicked, I would just lose it.
Right.
But, we did it. We made it. We found the theater. We found the parking. We found the exact same parking spot. Well,
I think
there was like one car in front of us than the last time, but still the exact same parking area, which led us right to the open doors to see how they get ready for security checkpoints. We saw all the setup, all the questions they all have to talk about, how they all practice with the wands and knowing what the lights mean when the lights go up. And I learned something very interesting. When you pass through a metal detector, there are lights on the other end that will signal where it is detecting you have something you shouldn't, whether it's upper part of your body, lower part of your body, middle part of your body. And these security people were told that they had to watch the lights, and wherever the lights were, that is where they were supposed to use the hand wand to determine where else there could have, did it misread it. After you take everything out of your pockets, they are only supposed to scan the part that it identified that it detected something. So that was very interesting. But the first time we went, oh my gosh, I'm just going on and on and on. But the first time we went to go see the show, like I said, we drove there during a rainstorm, and just into the show, it was like 3 or 4 songs into the show.
4 songs.
4 songs into the show, the building and most of Thousand Oaks lost power. And there was nothing they could do. The poor stage manager, I think it was like his last night working there. And they couldn't get the power to come back on. But Straight No Chaser, and a shout out to them. These guys are truly amazing performers because they continued on anyway. No mics, no sound system, no backing. Well, I don't think they use backing tracks, but none of their audio visual supports. And they did the show anyway. Now, they ended a little bit early, but I don't blame them. They're poor voices. But they soldiered on and they put on a great show.
They're absolutely phenomenal. They were phenomenal this time. It was nice to see the difference between like lights and power and not lights and power. But that first concert was the first time I'd seen them live. I'd been a fan of them pretty much since they started. You know, we all, well, not all, but a lot of us discovered Straight No Chaser with their YouTube video of the 12 Days of Christmas, which is hilarious. And really it's a great video and everything. And that's where I started listening to them from. I bought CDs, I bought digital files from Amazon, and I've never heard them do a bad song. They have, some of the people have gone on to other things, and they brought in new people, and a new guy, Freedom. Oh my God. What do they call it? Vocal percussion.
Mm-hmm.
He sounded like a drum set, and he did the demo of it. He said, no, when I sound like this, it sounds like a snare drum. And when I sound like this, it sounds like a cymbal. And if you closed your eyes, you could almost believe that he was actually up there playing a full drum kit with what he was doing.
Some people might know it as beatboxing.
Right. Okay. Beatboxing. Right. I do a little bit of it. I do a trumpet sound. You know, as an aside, I do a trumpet sound, and I learned that because I listened to Chuck Mangione, It Feels So Good. And I don't know how I did it. I don't know that I could repeat it again for the first time kind of thing, but it was just something I was able to do. And that's like a minuscule 1/1000th of the talent that this guy has. So I know how hard it is for what I do. I can't imagine how he keeps it all straight in his head. Is all right. I need this sound now. I need that sound now. I need to do this. I need to do that. And he just flows through the whole thing like it's nothing. And he's like their backing percussion for their entire set. And he also sings really well too. So, you know, I hate him now, obviously.
So second concert, no problems this time. Everything was working. The visuals, the mics, everything was working. Great show. No rain. We got there. We made it home. And this was like 2 days before New Year's Eve that we saw them. But so that was like our last big, you know, let's go out and do something of 2023. And then things just get silly. Now, I don't know how many of you have dealt with the flu or colds or COVID. If you dealt with any of these, I apologize. I hope you're not dealing with it now. And if you are, I hope you get well very, very soon. But we had to take Craig in to get him checked out, not because of any of that, but because he managed to pinch a nerve somewhere in his neck and shoulder. So I took him to an urgent care to get checked out. And after a very long wait in some very interesting rooms, especially where they do the triage part, you know, where they check your weight and blood pressure and all that. A physician's assistant comes in. We explain everything to her. She told us what the game plan was, get him some ibuprofen, some painkillers, and of course he was going to need a shot. And I'm going to let Craig keep telling the story because it gets absolutely silly.
Oh, well, thank you very much. So after waiting, we waited like, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes to get into the room. Fine, whatever. They're small, you know, they're short staffed, whatever. I get that. No visit to an ER or urgent care or doctor's office is ever going to be quick. It's never going to be on time. So fine, whatever. So they put us in a room. and they did my vitals. They put us in a room, and then we waited and waited. We waited like probably another 45 minutes before someone noticed us. And then the physician's assistant, I believe she was, came in, or maybe she was a nurse practitioner. I don't know, some kind of health professional. But she touched my neck and shoulders, and she touched my arms, and she checked me out. And she said, "Okay, I can help you with this. We're going to give you a shot of Demerol." I'm like, "All right, great." Toradol. I'm sorry, Toradol. Some kind of all. Okay, something ends in OL. I don't know.
Basically, he's going to get a shot.
Right. So I said, "Fine, as long as it takes away the pain, I don't care. At this point, I don't care. Give me whatever." So then we waited another half hour, and I'm like, at this point, I'm pacing up and down in the hallway outside of the exam room. And finally, someone from the front desk sees me and says, "Can I help you?" I'm like, "Well, I hope so. I've been waiting a half hour." "Oh, what are you waiting for?" I said, "A shot." "Oh, I'm sorry. I'll be right with you." So then another like 10 minutes before he comes in, he says, "All right, I'm here to give you your shot. Drop your pants." I'm like, "Hold on. I don't know you that well." So I do as instructed, and I'm bent over the exam table. He's about to give me the shot, right? And he's like, "I hope you don't mind. You got to lower your pants a little." I'm like, "Look, I'm old. I don't embarrass easily anymore." And I told him a quick story about how I went through my last cancer experience, where I had like interns and student doctors and everybody like giving me physicals and exams and poking and prodding me. He's like, "Oh man, I could never do anything like that." I'm like, "Well, if you got to do it, you got to do it." So picture, if you will, or maybe blot this out entirely so you don't carry this with the rest of your life. Whichever way you want to go, here at Coffees and Cuddles, we don't judge. We don't give you a hard time about anything. So I'm in the position, ready to get the shot. I said, "Whenever you're ready, go ahead and do it." And he's over my right shoulder, and Anna is sitting to my left in a chair, and she's got this grin on her face. Like, "Aha, you're getting a shot in your butt. Haha, I'm glad it's not me." So I glance over and I see this, and I look at her, and I'm looking at her and I'm talking to her, but the guy behind me can't see where my face is pointed because he's looking in another area a lot lower. And I look over her and I say, "You're really enjoying this, aren't you?" And she busts out laughing. She's like busting a gut because it's like the funniest thing I ever said to her. And over my shoulder, I hear, no, what do you mean? "No, I'm not enjoying this." I started laughing, and I look back and said, "No, I wasn't talking to you, dude. Calm down. If you're going to do that, you got to buy me dinner first or something." But she just cracked up, and that was the funniest thing that she'd ever heard. And he couldn't get out of the room fast enough. And he's like, "Thank you. You're done. I'll get out."
This poor guy.
Apparently the look on his face was priceless.
It was priceless. He did not I don't know if he didn't realize I was still in the room.
I don't know.
Or
he was in the zone.
I hadn't turned my head or anything. I'm sure this is going to be something that poor guy will never forget. He probably talked about it on his breaks. He probably talked about it at lunch. He's probably talking about it right now. But I was dying. It was just the funniest thing. It's like, we're not talking to you.
No, what? No, I'm not. No, what?
But I will tell you, that guy had a very interesting way to end his 2023.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure it'd be very hard to top that, thinking I was talking to him. It was just so funny in the moment. And even now I'll say something to her and I'll be like, "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" We'll crack up like idiots again. So if you're going to have a horrible medical experience, that's probably the best way to end it, with laughter, because laughter is always a good thing,
Definitely. And if you can find a way to embarrass the medical staff who are involved in your procedure, that's even better.
If he had come in sooner, that may not have ever happened. So I'm blaming him. It's all his fault.
Now he was doing it. He was doing his job.
A lot better than he probably wished he was.
But hey, you got your shot.
Got my shot. I got some pills.
Now I am coughing once again. So, I mean, there had been some really silly things that have happened in 2023. And of course, 2024 started off with silliness as well. I have to go back to my real job on Monday, and we went to go meet with my hairdresser, and
Kurt is a trip all unto himself. He's quirky. He's I can't even, not really flamboyant. Flamboyant's not there. He's ebullient all the time. You know, he's always got great stories about customers to tell us, or his crazy landlady stories, or his dog stories. So it's never dull when you're sitting in the chair and he's doing your hair. Never ever dull.
He is a lot of fun just to shoot the breeze with. And this was Craig's turn to get his hair taken care of. And I was sitting there. I think I was just reading through news stories on my phone, and all of a sudden I look up as he's trimming like the back of Craig's hair, and he makes this comment about the back of Craig's neck. Do you want me to tell him, or do you
please,
want? Okay.
you've gone this far.
And he makes a comment about how he gets some clients that he has to fix the back of their neck because they've got some hair growing where it's not very flattering to the rest of the hair growing out of the top of their head. But he looks at Craig and says, "But not you. You, my friend, have a baby butt neck."
Baby butt neck. not baby's got back. Baby butt neck.
I look at right then as he's talking about the back of your neck. And I must have missed part of what he was talking about, because all of a sudden he just busts out with baby butt neck. And I'm waiting for other people in the room to hear this comment and laugh. And the ladies who were sitting next to where we were, not only did they not like crack a smile or let out a chuckle, but they just gave this look like, "Oh, how could you?" And that just made me laugh even more.
Like I said, Kurt's a trip. Smooth neck and I cannot lie.
Oh, no.
Just call me MC Whitebread.
Oh, no.
No?
We do have a habit of doing this where we will take songs and try to rewrite them. And we've never actually completely finished an entire song. We get like a couple lines in, and then we laugh about it and forget about it.
There's probably like 500 partial songs floating around, either in our IM somewhere or in our heads or whatever. But
somewhere lodged in that file cabinet in the back of your head.
So shout out to Weird Al and people like him who can make up parody songs like it's nothing. That's not my talent.
Dr. Demento. I loved listening to those songs. Weird Al, he is amazing. I don't know how they come up with the rhymes that they do and the stories that they tell. We are nowhere, anywhere in any like close to. We are a far, far distance from what they can do. In fact, today we were driving and we went past a house that C's already going. It was yellow. And the ironwork was yellow.
Not just yellow. It's like someone went to the paint store and they were asked, "What color do you want?" And they said yellow. And the guy showed him or her, the little paint cards with all yellow like this, like, they went through all the little paint samples and they said, like this, but more. And the guy said, "More?" "Yes." So they mixed up the paint. "How about this? More." And they kept saying more and more and more. I can't even describe what shade of yellow this was. It was yellowish. It was orangish. It was like day glow bright. And Anna had said something about there's no sneaking into that house at night because you would stand out. Mm-mm. Your silhouette would stand out against the awesomeness of that this yellow was.
You'd have to wear sunglasses driving by the house at night. I'm telling you, it was the yellow like on that street sign that said subject to flooding. It was that yellow. It was just, hello, here's my house.
Well, I missed it because I was looking at the other side of the street, but you said there was a bicyclist that rode past the house and he did a double take.
Oh yeah,
because he couldn't believe he just shook his head because he couldn't believe that house. I think somebody lost a bet. Either they lost a bet, or Home Depot or Lowe's or Joe's hardware store
really had to get rid of that.
Had like 47 gallons of yellow paint, and they said, "Here, take it off our hands. We'll pay you because no one else wants this." That's how atrocious and bogus, if I can use the word, how bogus this yellow paint is. So I'm glad it's not my house because I couldn't live in it. I would have to shut my eyes to walk into or walk out of this house.
So we started rewriting the lyrics to "We All Live in a Yellow Submarine."
We all live in a very yellow house, an ugly yellow house.
We all live in a very yellow house, a very yellow house.
An ugly yellow house.
See, it's things like that make me have so much fun with this guy. We find the strangest things that will crack us up. Either something like the color of a house, or just some ironic little situation like what happened at the medical appointment or whatever it is. And
I think that's a very important thing, that if you can't laugh with your partner, your spouse, significant other, whatever you call that person that you share your life with, if you can't laugh with them, I think that's a very sad thing. I think you need to find some kind of common ground, find something that you both find. No, I'm not saying that you have to find everything exactly funny that they do. With my second wife, we were watching back in the day when Dennis Miller was still on HBO doing his weekly show. I would watch it and I'd be like rolling on the floor laughing from what he was talking about, and my ex-wife would just be sitting there almost stoically, like not laughing. And I realized later on that it wasn't that she didn't find it funny. She didn't find it funny because she didn't understand any of the humor. So, well, he's not funny. Oh, he's hilarious. You just have no sense of humor whatsoever, or you need to expand from the whoopee cushion and the joy buzzer into something a little more sophisticated, like the squirting flour and all those things are fine, but they're not. I'm not even saying that it's highbrow comedy, and not everybody gets Dennis Miller. I understand that because he has some really obscure references and some really, really out there things that he says. But I enjoy the humor because it's well thought out. It's not just like off the cuff all the time. He's a very intelligent guy. I think he's a very worldly guy, and he's just, when he starts to rip, it's amazing. It's kind of like watching Billy Crystal do one of his stand-up things, because it's just like rapid fire, one after the other. And it's just like I call it a stream of consciousness, where I know they probably have a script where they have some idea of what they want to talk about, but much in the same way that I did my podcast, my solo podcast, it's just I start going, and one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. And I think it's brilliant. But yeah, circling back to what I said, I think it's very important that couples laugh together. I'm not saying that you have to find all the same things funny that your spouse does.
Laughter is the best medicine.
There are times when Anna and I will be sitting on the couch and we'll just start cracking up over something. And before we know it, we're like, the tears are flowing and we can't catch our breath because we're laughing so hard. And she tells me my face turns red because of how hard I'm laughing. And it's just a brilliant thing. And there's this euphoria almost that washes over you. I guess it's endorphins being released. I don't know the medical side of it or the scientific side of it. I just know that I feel better after I have one of those gut wrenching, whatever you call them, belly laughs. So I think that's an important thing.
That coffee mug is starting to run a little bit low, but I have to say this. Craig mentioned that he has a solo podcast, which he still does. And I've done that with him a couple of times. I am brand new to the whole world of podcast and how it all works and how you set things up. And he mentioned a stream of consciousness. And every week that we have gone into one of these, we've talked about, what kinds of things we want to talk about, but we don't have anything written down. which I go into every one of these kind of nervous because there is nothing written down. And
we work without a net.
Oh yeah, we work without a net, definitely. Plenty of coffee, but no nets here. Maybe I need to buy a net. Anyway, Craig's mentioned that I'm a teacher and I am a second grade teacher. And whenever I'm teaching, I have an idea of how the lesson's going to go. What are the things I need to make sure these students are learning? What are the vocabulary words and the terms that they need to know? And how to help them, have another way to explain it if the first way isn't making sense. But doing this is completely different because I have a rough idea of where we're going, but there's nothing for me to glance down to. Like there's nothing on a clipboard in front of me. So it is very much a stream of consciousness. And he's told me, about how many people have listened to our first 2 episodes. And it just absolutely blows me away. I'm still just kind of sitting here, just kind of in awe of that. And we really do appreciate everybody who has listened to the first 2 episodes. Definitely tell your family, your friends, your frenemies, people you don't know. Well, maybe not tell people you don't know because, we all grew up with the don't talk to strangers.
Absolutely.
But I just wanted to, again, thank everybody who's listened and will continue to listen because we appreciate it a lot.
I've tried the show notes thing where I've written everything down, and by the time I start and I get through it, what takes me like 5 or 10 minutes to write out takes me about 2 minutes to read through because I sometimes talk very quickly. I know people that have like a scrolling teleprompter on one monitor and they read it like it's a news broadcast, which is fine. I'm not knocking or putting down anyone for their individual podcast stylings because we don't do anything like any of the pros do. We just do our own thing. And I think that makes us unique. I think it makes us fun and quirky because 90% of the time we don't know what we're going to say, or we'll look at each other and we'll both have the same exact thought at the same exact time. And then we'll just like, oh yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking about that. Something else Anna forgot to mention or failed to mention is we have the podcast, we have the website with a blog on it, and she's written a couple of blog posts. And I've written 1 or 2, and I'll put it in the show notes again. It's coffeesandcuddles.com. There's an about page that's about us. There's a what we do kind of thing. We have our merchandise store up. We don't have any like show merchandise up yet because I haven't found a print on demand company I like that isn't like stupid ridiculous, because I don't want to charge $37 for a t-shirt.
No,
I don't think anybody should ever pay that much for a t-shirt. As much as I would like to sell everything I own and make $1 million, I know it's not feasible, and that's not the kind of guy I am. So I would rather sell 2,000 shirts at $20 a piece than like 20 shirts at $100 a piece or whatever. So I know the math doesn't work out, but you know what I mean? I'm a Polak, so it's okay. That's Polish math. You'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. It'll make sense sometime. But that's going to wrap it up for us.
Yeah, the coffee mug.
The coffee's gone cold, and it's time for a refill. And no one really likes iced coffee. Is okay. Cold coffee is kind of because not cold on purpose. It's cold because you've forgotten about it.
But what if you get like an iced latte, which is supposed to have ice in it, but then as the ice starts to melt, it gets cold and runny
and watery. Yeah, that sounds
yeah,
gross.
No,
I don't like that. No.
So we will. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So we will catch you all next week. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. If you are an educator, or you know an educator, or you have kids that are school age, and this is your final weekend before you send them back, have a great weekend. Have a wonderful work week, or whatever it is you plan to do. And we will catch you all next week.
I would like to echo her sentiment. We thank you for listening. We're glad you're here. We hope you learned something from it. We hope you had a smile or a chuckle or two. We always hope that you get something out of it. As always, this is my 2 cents worth and her 2 cents worth. So about 4 cents. It's our 4 cents worth, if that's a thing. I don't know. But we love you all. We appreciate every one of you. we'll be back again next week, hopefully with more entertaining stories and stuff. We love you all. I think I said that already, and God bless.